Well, first off, I want to read you a Jim Matheson tweet.
Oh.
Apparently, now this...
Let's go.
Yeah, this is throwing it back, guys. Jim Matheson, Edmonton Oilers reporter, has been, if you ask his bio, covered the NHL for 40 years. Lucky to watch lots of Hall of Fame Oilers. He's never watched a Hall of Fame player from a single other team. Only the Oilers.
Yeah, when the Penguins would take the ice, he'd go, ah! He'd close his eyes.
Early 90s, late 2000s, or late
really,
2010s.
The regulars who covered the Oilers, it took a while to get used to.
Yeah.
Like once you,
So this has to do with you if you're a Jets fan, and I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Okay.
One of the reasons for the Jets' struggles, goaler Connor Hellebuck. He's one of the NHL's top half dozen goalies.
I'm sorry. He called him goaler?
Goalie, excuse me. That's my bad.
Oh.
No, that's me. That's me. Goalie Connor Hellebuck. He's one of the NHL's top half dozen goalies and is usually rock solid, but has a pedestrian .911 save percentage. Got a losing record.
Who is this? Does he actually have
Connor
a losing
Hellebuck.
record?
Well, he's got a losing record because I don't think the team's very good and their coach left midway through the season, blah, blah, blah. Now, Connor Hellebuck putting up a .911 save percentage is, I think, still pretty respectable when you consider this graph from JFresh.
Hey, want to trade?
And now Connor Hellebuck's been on a bit of a skid lately, but so is the team. They haven't been good. Like, if you saw Ehlers' press conference last night, he was like, this doesn't feel good. We're not enjoying this. Obviously, who does? It seemed like they could push for like the 8th playoff spot this year, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Have a look at this.
They're in there.
Have a look at this graph. Jesse, have you put it up?
Yeah.
So, Steve,
can I look?
I'm gonna let you look here. I'm gonna pull it up.
It's right here.
To me, if you want to look at why the Jets have not been great this season, you need only look at their 3 best players. This is from Top Down Hockey's data. It's JFresh Hockey that put this graph out. In terms of lowest projected forward WAR,
wins above replacement.
Yep. Mark Scheifele is the worst in the league. Kyle Connor is the 4th worst, and Blake Wheeler is the 5th worst.
And Patrick Laine, who was a Jet, is 6th worst.
Right. Other names on that list: Brady Tkachuk, Patrick Kane, Patrick Laine, Jake Gensel, Leon Draisaitl, surprising, Alex Ovechkin, and Jonathan Drouin.
And this is based on 3-season weighted average.
Yeah, so this isn't just this season.
Oh.
This is the last 3.
Kyle Connor, obviously it's not like I watch every Jets game. He's the only name that surprises me. Scheifele, I know, is shocking defensively. Wheeler, I know, is shocking defensively. They're terrible. They're
great on offense.
Yeah, I don't want either player to have the puck crossing that offensive blue line.
Against your team, yeah.
There was a Wheeler won a game in the shootout against the Leafs, but there was another game where he was basically single-handedly responsible for the Jets losing the game in overtime. My favorite game is count how many strides Scheifele or Wheeler make when they cross the defensive side of the red line. They don't skate.
Do they just kind of let it go?
They just float. They're like a paper bag in the wind.
See, what's tough about that is they're considered the 2 guys in that room that are the leaders.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm gonna mix a little stats with intangibles here, so I'm bringing both sides together.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you're a younger player on that team, you're not a part of the leadership group, and you see Blake Wheeler or Mark Scheifele goofing it in the defensive zone. How likely are you to play a ton of defense?
Yeah, man.
They're the leaders. If they're the ones that always talk about, we have a championship attitude. We go to the gym. We do. They always talk about that. They publicly mention that.
Yeah, I'm willing to admit bias. What's better than beating the Leafs? No, I don't. I'm not a huge fan, but this has been a few years, man. Like a few years of
3 years.
They don't do the right things. Yeah, 3 apparently. They don't do the right things, and they really make Connor Hellebuck's job difficult. They make, Brendan Dillon, who's a new acquisition, Nate Schmidt, who's a new acquisition. I looked at the moves they made in the offseason, and I thought, oh, man, the Jets are making moves. A bunch of people called them the best team in Canada, on paper heading into the season. And who knows, maybe for the playoffs, I still think you bump the Jets up a little bit when it comes to playoff hockey just because
because Connor Hellebuck usually plays. He's amazing.
He's unreal, but also you can just get away with more. And like that's not me calling them dirty, but like they're a high infraction team, and those get called in the regular season, and then when it comes to the playoffs, you sweep the Oilers because
nothing makes sense.
Yeah, even though they outshot you every game, it's just you're allowed to do whatever you want to star players. It's not a shot at the Jets; it's a shot at the way things are called. But yeah, it's I've heard a lot of not great things about this Jets group, and I'm uncomfortable sharing it.
The people are tweeting it. There are journalists tweeting it.
Yeah, like there's Elliot Friedman, I thought, made a very interesting point on 32 Thoughts, where the Jets have been through a lot. They've been through a lot, haven't we all?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They've been through a lot, and I think they're like a lot of teams where things haven't gone great the last year or two, and they're wondering, should we blow it up? And then they look at everything that they've faced, and they're like, maybe all we need is time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe what we do is we go into this off season and we just chill a little bit. We take a timeout and see how things go. I think the blow up with the Jets is coming.
You do? Like as in like they move on from the core?
Yeah. I don't
really
think it's going to happen this trade deadline. I'd be very surprised.
Okay.
It could come this offseason, but I think I'd put that 50-50 at best. But if they begin the first 2 months next season and they're not consistently in a playoff spot for those 2 months, I think you're looking at some sort of pre or post Christmas blow up.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, I just don't know who those pieces are.
Shifley, Wheeler.
Well, Wheeler can't go anywhere. He's 35, makes $8.25 million.
So Shifley then.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about one guy. Kyle Connor's not going anywhere. I think it's
That'd be
in the
dumb.
last 3 years, the goal scoring lead is it 3 or 4 years? The goal scoring leaders are Austin Matthews, Kyle Connor, and then Alexander Ovechkin.
Kyle Connor is
He scores
unreal.
goals.
Unbelievable
Yeah.
player. Yeah, he's so underrated.
So we're talking about Shifley or Ehlers.
Ehlers
If
would
you want a
be
big move.
so stupid, and he's the player that
There
I
you
see
go.
Jets fans yell about the most. Like, please play him more,
Mhm.
for the love of God. Like, what does he have to do? Well, and those numbers that we saw with Shifley, Wheeler, and Connor make Ehlers not being on the first line every day for the last 2 or 3 years inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you look at a tenacious player who can score. If they're not promoted to the top line, it's because they don't play well away from the puck.
Mm-hmm.
The guys in the top line objectively play terrible away from the puck. So why are you punishing this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ehlers is. I think he could save the Jets if they let him. But yeah, that's
one
up
thing.
to them.
That's one thing I don't like about these charts, where they take the individual. They're taking a very specific category of a player's game,
Mm-hmm.
like their individual defensive stats. That's what. But hockey's a team game. You know, how does that relate to their offensive? Is their offensive talent so good that they're outplaying their defensive metrics? Plus, do they have wingers or other players on their team that counteract their poor defense? Because not every player is going to be good at everything. And I think that you get a lot of this narrative where, oh, this player is bad defensively. Well, okay, but they're really good offensively, and not every player can be great offensively and great defensively, and that's why you build a whole team with all of these skaters that counteract different guys' abilities and liabilities.
But when you're losing on like wins above replacement, right? When we're talking about like that part of it is like
You're losing more games than you win.
we talked about Ovechkin, and we talked about like remember when I said that I think Matthews right now is better than McDavid. And that's the one TikTok that we've ever had that took off, and a lot of look at this fucking idiot. And when you look at the full charts, like you look at the Dom Lucian charts, right? They're not that different, right? The two of them.
I like the big expanded ones they've made. I don't think the charts are the problem. I think Twitter is a poor vessel.
Yeah, well, there's no
Because-
nuance. But my point in saying that is, you know, when we rewind back to like 2015, when Jeremy Roenick in the playoffs is like, you know, Ovechkin needs to become a student of the game. Well, no, he fucking doesn't. I'm not expecting Alexander Ovechkin to come back and play the kind of defense that you're hoping for.
Mhm.
But when I look at team, we're talking specifically about the Jets, and we're talking about the 3 best players on the Jets, and Ehlers isn't in there. I guess maybe he should be. And the captain. Don't you want the captain and the second best player in Scheifele to make it not about Connor Hellebuck having a mediocre season?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's my point here. And I get what you're saying with the Jets.
My point wasn't about the Jets specifically. My point is about there's 18 skaters, and looking at individual aspects of players doesn't account for the other 17 players on the team.
Well, I think you're right.
In this case of the Jets, I think the Jets have a problem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if you have too many on that side of it, like look at
it doesn't surprise me someone covering the Oilers is blaming the Stars.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well, Jim Matheson took a look at the Jets and went, "It's Hellebuck is the problem."
Yeah, no, I mean Hellebuck clearly is not the problem. Has never really been the problem.
We didn't make enough of the first part of this conversation where the dressing room might be toxic. Maybe, but we've heard enough stories that it's not the best place.
Here's the thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire sometimes. And sometimes you could be in a shitty situation. Like, I'll be honest with you, working on a show, except this show is actually really good. Like, we never really have those things. But, like, you work on an early morning show, right? When Jesse and I were working mornings and stuff like that, there would be times where myself and Jax would get into a heated debate, or TJ and Jax, or it was mostly TJ and Jax, mostly, if I'm being honest with you, because they're like brother and sister. They'd have their moments. And then towards vacation time, one of the members of the show is going, okay, I'm ready to have a break from everybody because I see these people for 20 hours at 5 a.m. every single week, right? It's hard. So maybe that's what the thing with the Jets is. Maybe it's just like, we need a summer off. It's been 2 shitty years of COVID. We lost Bufflin. We lost Myers. Maybe they're happy about that. We lost Trouba. Like a lot of what the core of on defensively, what made this team the Western Conference team that it almost went to the Stanley Cup Finals. Maybe it's just sort of like, I just need a break and I need to get out of Winnipeg and go somewhere else. I've been tired of the same faces, and then I need to come back to Winnipeg and be like, holy shit, I'm so happy to be back.
Also, like, this isn't to say Scheifele and Wheeler and Connor are bad players. They're obviously not.
No. Or bad people. Or they're bad people. I don't know. What the hell do I know?
Like for example, like the conversation we just had about Patrick Laine and how he's a truly ridiculous player who hurts his team in a lot of respects, but holy shit, can he finish? You got to put him with the right people. You can't have a line of 3 Patrick Laines.
Okay. Yeah.
You can have him on your team.
Yep.
You can't have too many of them on your team.